and welcome back to the channel. Now last week I talked all about type 2 diabetes and how it's one of the most common chronic health problems that we have. I went through how it works and why it's so important to look after your blood sugar levels. So if you missed that, click here to learn about it. But what I didn't include in that video was what you can actually do to keep your blood sugar levels in check. So today we're going through one of the lifestyle changes you can make to look after your blood sugar levels, and that is, surprise, surprise, exercise, yet again. I'm starting to sound like a broken record here because for each of the conditions that I talk about, exercise will be the number one thing that I recommend. Now I talked about high blood pressure and exercise was great for that. It's great for your blood sugar levels too. So today I'll be explaining why exercise is so good for your blood sugar and how it actually helps to reduce blood sugar when it's high. Now when you exercise, your muscles will need energy to actually do all the movements that your workout includes. And where does that energy come from? Glucose. Glucose is the main fuel source for your muscles. So if your blood sugar is high, then that means you have plenty of glucose available for your muscles to use. Now as you move and do exercises, your muscles are going to need more glucose to keep up with the energy demand. So they will take in more glucose from your blood and that reduces blood sugar. Now you may remember that with diabetes though, there is a problem with insulin, and insulin was the gatekeeper that actually helped the glucose move into the cells. So if there's an issue with insulin and our muscles need glucose, how does that fix anything, right? How is the glucose actually going to get into muscle cells? Well, the great thing about exercise is that it triggers a process that allows your muscles to take in glucose without insulin. So if you have diabetes, this actually bypasses the issue that you're having with insulin. So how does this magic process work? Cast your memory back to my last video because you watched the entire thing. Well, insulin pretty much controls entry of glucose to cells. Pretty much opens the gates. Now beyond those gates is what we call a transport protein, and it's a channel, very similar to a tunnel that glucose will use to enter your cells and have a great big party. Now when you exercise, those transport proteins will actually move all the way to the surface of your muscle cells and allow glucose to move right in without needing insulin. Now you need to realize that this only happens in muscle cells. But regardless, this is the only way to use up glucose in your blood without insulin. So if you have diabetes and you want to reduce blood sugar, exercise is the best way to try and naturally do this. Now you may not have diabetes yet. Is exercise still going to be good for your blood sugar levels? Of course it is. Exercise not only reduces blood sugar, but it also increases what we call insulin sensitivity, which is how well your body responds to insulin. Now in type 2 diabetes, there is less insulin sensitivity. Your body's cells are not responding to insulin, and so glucose isn't moving into cells. So by exercising, you can prevent this from happening. Essentially, by exercising, you are making your body and cells much more efficient at using insulin. Less insulin will be needed to get more glucose into cells. If you already have diabetes, this is still beneficial. Research has shown that exercise improves insulin sensitivity in both people with and without diabetes. So it is in fact possible to reverse the situation a little bit with exercise even after a diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. Now another great thing about exercise is that there is also a post-exercise effect on blood sugar. This means that even after you're done exercising, there is continued benefit for your body. And this is because of the Afterburn Effect, which we call post-exercise oxygen consumption. This is when there is increased oxygen usage and energy production after an exercise session. So how does this work? Well, during exercise, your body needs more oxygen to meet energy demands. And that oxygen is used to break down nutrients like carbohydrates and fats to produce energy. But once you are done with exercise, your body doesn't immediately relax. It needs to repair muscle, refill any energy stores that it used up during the exercise. Essentially, it needs to bring the body back to what it was before the exercise started, and that actually requires a bit of energy, and therefore more glucose from your blood will keep entering muscle cells during this time. So now that you know why exercise is so good for your blood sugar, you probably need to know how much exercise to do and what type of exercises to do as well. So very similar to what I said in the blood pressure video, you're going to want to do 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise per week. Now that's not an excessive amount, and if you are someone who is getting no exercise, don't worry about going straight to 150 minutes. Anything is going to be better than nothing. Just aim to get some numbers on the board. It could be 20 minutes, it could be 10 to start somewhere. As for what type of exercises to do, you actually want to balance between aerobic exercises, which is all your cardio, and strength training. Now, cardio is great because it will increase your heart and breathing rate, as well as overall energy usage, and that will kick in the use of glucose as fuel, which will lower your blood glucose levels. So again, try to get about 150 minutes of moderate intensity cardio each week if you can, for the best results. Now, strength training is also important here because these promote muscle development, and as we know, it's the muscle cells that allow us to use glucose without insulin. So the more muscle that you have, the better your body will be at using up glucose that is hanging around in your blood. Try to do at least 2 days of strength training each week and do exercises that target major muscle groups. So some good exercises to think about are your compound movements like squats and bench press, because they need groups of muscles to work together to complete the movement. Another thing to consider is high intensity interval training, or HIIT training. Now this is when you do short bursts of intense exercise followed by periods of active recovery. So for example, alternating between intense sprints and then walking for recovery. Now the reason HIIT workouts are recommended is because these workouts create a larger afterburn effect that I mentioned earlier. There is also growing amounts of research to show that HIIT workouts are great for heart health and blood sugar levels. Now HIIT workouts can be very intensive though, so make sure you are cleared to actually perform them if you have any existing health conditions, particularly anything going on with your heart. Now a lot of people think that the benefits of exercise for blood sugar comes from weight loss, but after watching this video, I hope you can see that this isn't the case. Weight loss is definitely helpful for controlling blood sugar, and just losing 2% of body weight can give improvements to blood sugar levels. But that doesn't mean you need to obsess over the numbers on the scale if you're trying to improve blood sugar levels. Do the exercise, and any weight benefits that come along with it are great, but if that doesn't quite happen straight away, don't worry, because there are all these benefits that I talked about happening behind the scenes, and that will help to improve your situation. So if you've made it this far, thanks. Hopefully now you have even more reasons to make sure exercise is a regular part of your life. There are so many benefits, and I've really just scratched the surface. So subscribe if you want to keep learning how to have a healthy but realistic lifestyle that allows you to play the long game with health. Remember to keep making small changes that you can continue for a long time, and you will reap the rewards later in life. As usual, any research that I used can be found in the description. Leave a comment if you want anything explained further. And until next time, keep playing the long game.